Thank you, Dr. Wang. And I thank also and acknowledge the presence of my friend, Ambassador Lin. Thank you very much for taking time from your very busy schedule to join us here. I'd like to thank the CCG for allowing me to share some thoughts on the important issue of global recovery in the post-pandemic period, which is very topical as the world increasingly moves towards endemicity. For Malaysia, we fully opened our borders along with across-the-board easing of restrictions on the 1st of April. Yesterday, we recorded 1,690 cases and no deaths. While all untimely deaths are tragic, I suspect that the latter figure is now on the average, now less than those dying daily from traffic accidents, a phenomenon that is now very much part of everyday lives and whose numbers no longer excite the public imagination. So like many others, Malaysia is learning to live with COVID-19. If we do so, we appreciate that other countries have other and equally legitimate ways of addressing the COVID-19 challenge. Due to the resumption of economic activity, greater consumption and higher commodity prices, the Malaysian economy is expected to grow anywhere from 5.3 to 6.3% this year, higher than the anticipated global growth rate of 3.1%. However, as an open economy, Malaysia is vulnerable to global economic headwinds. Let me continue by stating the obvious. The world has changed since the outbreak of COVID-19, but it has changed very fundamentally not only because of COVID-19, but also because of other events converging in a very narrow period of time, continuing tensions between China and the US, as well as the situation in Ukraine. While we are learning to live with COVID-19, the repercussions of the two other phenomena have yet to unfold. While there are still many unknowns, nonetheless, I believe we know enough to justify thinking about the word mobility in three different ways: mobility of persons, mobility of data, and mobility of the mind. The mobility of persons is intertwined with many other evolving factors: global and national health regulations, the changing structure of the global supply chain, where the present focus is finding the right balance between efficiency and resilience, as well as new corporate business models. At the same time, we now know that in many situations, remote work is a feasible alternative to physical deployments. So companies and employees alike are changing their requirements, priorities, and expectations. I believe that moving forward, experts in mobility management for professionals will be in great demand. The importance of data and the ways in which it influences our lives will increase in the future. For data to be useful and alive, it needs to be mobile. Stationary data is dead and therefore largely useless. But despite the increasing importance of data and the need for it to be addressed by the international community in a fair, transparent, and equitable manner for the benefit of all, it is done only cursorily by the multilateral system. In this regard, I believe that the CCG and Dr. Henry Wang's idea for the establishment of a World Data Organization merits further discussion. Another option to address this issue is to have it parked under an already established international organization such as the WTO. A scoping exercise is required at any rate before a decision is made. The ancient Romans believed that que incipit in mente, everything begins in the mind. I'm quoting the Latin phrase not just because the Italian ambassador is sitting next to me, but there is wisdom in the ancients. The COVID-19 pandemic, geopolitical tensions, and the Ukrainian situation can easily result in a closure of the collective global mind, seeking comfort in one's own, or an imagined past, or an unattainable future. If history teaches us one lesson, it is this: decay and decline come when one closes one's mind to outside developments and influences. More than ever before, we must resist this odious temptation and instead aspire to a greater mobility of the mind. More than ever before, we must aim for a reimagining of the notion of mobility in all its forms and how they interact with one another. Thank you very much.